hilarious right now.
So the
We're on.
Pulmonauts have not been together. Let's see. I'm checking my checking my watch here. Let's see. It has been I don't know, nigh a few years.
Time.
Um, Time has passed, and a lot of things have happened. One of the big things that I'm just really excited to see these faces just on the same screen again. And so we've got a lot of catching up to do. And for everybody who's watching, thanks for being here. If you have questions or comments or anything you'd like to share with the Pulmonauts, you can just put it in the chat, and we'd be happy to check in. But actually, just to start us off, and for those who know us, Chuck actually he did make he kind of an unexpected comment is that maybe we should have some structure to this conversation,
That is
and
not like me.
it is. I mean, but time has passed. Time has passed. We've grown. We've learned. I've got gray coming in on one side more than the other.
Yeah.
Like it's just
I got it right here. One side. It's weird. It's like, like the left side
we're
of
all
your
showing our
goatee.
spots.
Yeah. Yeah. We've aged.
No.
I'm teaching the language of breath cohort, and there was a guy that I brought into. Actually, he came to one of my first Wim Hof workshops in 2017, I think it was 2017, 2018. And there's this picture of me. It's a selfie of me with him in the tub behind me. And he shared it with the group as he was introducing himself. And I said, I really like the picture, but it shows how much I've aged since then. We've been in it a while, guys. I mean, we've been in this for quite some time.
Almost a
So, but
decade.
thank you for mentioning that we should have a little bit of structure. And for those for everybody just, kind of logging in and checking in with us, the four of us, we've known each other for quite some time. We work together and just have fun together. And we've been doing off and on ever since, I think it was 2020 when we started this, or 2021, somewhere around there, Pulmonauts Collective, where we just get together, we talk about breath work. We all have our own things we're doing. And since it's been a while, Chuck actually made a great suggestion. He said, let's all mention somewhere where we've grown and something we've let go of. Maybe over the amount of time, has it been? I mean, it's been at least a year, right?
How many years has it been?
Like
I remember.
it's been a while since we did one of these. I think it's been 2.
It could have been, yeah, it could have been 2 years. So, so does anybody want to go first?
What year was the last Convergence?
Okay, so last year was the only year we didn't have it, and I gotta say, it was missed. It was greatly missed, and it's something that is, I'm happy to say, it's coming back. And not only is it coming back,
No
but
way.
it's going to be better than ever, and we've sort of decided to call it the reconvergence.
Because we're reconvening.
The
Wrong this
reconvergence.
We are more feral. We have lost a little bit more hair, but we are ready
In some
to
places.
dominate and actually just share really meaningful, transformative moments with a select group of people who have the courage.
Absolutely, and really the big thing about the convergence, it really is about a lot of what we're about to do is talking about where we've grown. It's talking about what we're letting go of. It's an opportunity to go out and we all do retreats and things like that. And I got to say, this one is the most earthy, the most like visceral, the most, you are out in nature, my friends. And you can drink the water directly out of the ground. You're really getting that. I know there's something about it that you just can't go. I do a lot of things at retreat centers and resorts and things. I mean, those are fun too, but there is nothing that compares to Mandala Springs. There is, I mean, it's this crazy magical world where not only are you out in nature, but you're right next to a chocolate factory. You know, there's that, right? Like, how many times in your life are you like, you know, I was camping right next to a chocolate factory. And so we do deep breath work. We have we're going to be doing primal movement patterns with Rob. We've got Yona coming back to lead us in ceremonial sweat lodge. We've got are we doing a cacao? I mean, we do just a little bit of everything. Chris is going to be there. He's going to be you got to bring those hand pans.
Yeah.
You know, it's going to be our best ever year, because you know how sometimes you sort of needed a little bit of a pause, and then then you come back and you're like, okay, let's do this. Let's
Sometimes
really
you
get
gotta
it.
draw the bowstring back a little bit and get that tension for it to really launch.
Yes. That's exactly what it was. So that is coming up June 27th through the 30th. And you can go to jessecoomer.com and find the tickets there, or you can go to mandalasprings.com and you can find the tickets there as well. So there's our plug. Maybe we'll plug it again. But
amazing.
One of these years we're gonna get the whole crew out there. So we always have.
Who's looking at you, Chuck McGee?
Chuck,
It's my daughter's 16th birthday, and I doubt I'm going to be able to.
You're not
come
getting
up
out of
with
that.
it.
No.
And I don't want to. I want to
No.
be there.
No,
for it.
that's a powerful one. That's
Yeah.
Now, here's the thing that I don't know, and maybe you can tell me: is 16 still the age when the young kids get to get their license, or have they changed that as well?
Before that,
Okay.
you can get a
16,
permit
isn't it?
now at like 15 and a half, and your license has some restrictions on it. Like you can't drive anyone that's not your family. So like you're not supposed to take your friends out for a little bit. I'm sure there's more rules to it, but
yeah,
right
that's how
now
it was when I was a kid.
Yeah. Right now she's got to drive with someone who's like 25 or older, and not me. I am not a good driving instructor. Great breathwork instructor. Not a good driving instructor.
Really?
Not my forte. No. Yeah, that's a big solid nope.
Yeah. Is she in driver's ed?
Yeah.
Yeah, when I was in driver's ed, we had this guy who was like 1,000 years old as a driver's ed teacher, and everybody took him, and he would fall asleep while you were while you're driving around. And one time there's this kid, because there'd be 3 kids like in the car, and then we'd all take turns for the day. And we got on the highway, and the guy fell asleep, and the kid that was driving was like a little too afraid to say anything. And so we found ourselves in the next city down. Like we drove, I don't know how long. He kind of woke up. He's like, okay, Coomer, you hop in there. No, you're gonna drive us back.
Go back the other way.
It was a trip. It was a trip. Oh well, okay. So you're not gonna be able to make it this year. It just
It's on my radar.
What
I
we're
wanna
gonna do is
go.
we're gonna prank call you, or zoom in. Maybe we'll do another Zoom like we did the first convergence, because we decided
The first conversions.
Like
The first
slightly
convergence was with
less-
whiskey.
Slightly
No.
less whiskey
No.
than the other time.
That's baloney. You better have the same amount of whiskey, because
No.
that was hilarious.
No, I might die this time. My dad won't be there, so I won't be forced to drink that much.
okay. So just so everybody who's watching,
We deleted this video afterwards.
actually the video still exists.
I got a
Oh,
copy.
The
Private.
live, we'll have to dig it up. So that we did a live feed after the first convergence, and we decided, hey, you know what? Let's have a little bit of a celebration, a little bit of a victory dance, just a little bit. And so we started singing songs. We started doing a live feed, and we're singing, and we're talking about breath work. And Chris's dad was at this convergence. He is actually, Chris's dad is sort of like a saint of
Spirit animal.
I mean, a spirit animal of our event. I don't know how we're going to do it if he doesn't come. We got to figure out a way to get him there.
Zoom him in from France.
Yeah, we'll have to do some kind of a distance. Then everybody will be like,
bring
"Who's
a
this guy?"
printout.
No,
I'll bring
Frank's
a
going to read
printout
a
of
poem.
There you go.
it. Like a life-size
Frank.
printout. Yeah. People
Well,
can
anyway.
give them his offerings.
Anyway, so what happened was that night after the convergence was over. It was a great convergence. Everybody had a great time. We were all just like, is just in bliss. And I decided, hey guys, I'm gonna have a beer, or I forget what I was just like. I'm gonna have like a beer, or I think either it was like a White Claw or something like that. I just wanted to have a little something, a little cheers, and that was all it was supposed to be. But there is someone on the property of Mandala Springs named Rob, and he's like, what? You don't do that. That's not a good cheers. That's you don't do that. And so he's like, I've got this amazing bottle of whiskey, and it was supposed to be just like a shot or just like a cheers. But Frank, as we were doing this, like this live feed, he kept on filling up shots, and we were like, well, I'm thirsty. We're talking. You didn't really notice, and before you know it, we're live on YouTube, just absolutely wasted and like singing songs. I forget. I mean, because we will have to go back and watch it. Actually, I think years later we went and we watched it again. But
Watched some of it.
it was so bad. It was
the best. I mean, I think so many people in the breathwork world take themselves way too seriously.
Yes,
They're
100%.
always perfect and everything must be so. And then to see people actually being real humans, like, you guys drink alcohol? Yeah, because we're people, and we wanted to, so we did. And
It comes back to that saying that is, I think we learned it together. We might have all heard it together at the same place, but it was this thing where there was the three monks on a hill, right? And the one monk, they were having a lunch or something like that, and the one monk turns to the next and he's like, my master is so powerful that he only eats like one time a day, and then, oh, that's very neat. And then the second one says, my master is so powerful, he only eats once a week, right? And then the third one says, you know what? My master is so powerful, he eats anytime he wants. Right? and the thing is, when you're living purposefully, when you're mindful, when you're being aware, you can do things that you want to do. It's not like you have to be like, it's just this. I think the thing in the health and wellness world that I think I mentioned this before, even the broadcast, is, the thing I hate so much about it is the health and wellness part about it. It's like, you just feel like these are all the rules and the list of things you can't do. And it's this thing where you have to stay in the lines. And that's not what it's really not what I'm here for. I'm here to enjoy my life. I'm here to have fun. And of course, I'm preaching to the choir here today. So,
think about back to our Wim Hof training. Literally, Wim's like, all right, this is like, we're at this professional training with the first contingent of U.S. instructors. He's like, Chuck McGee, you were a bartender in your past life. We're going to get a bunch of alcohol and we're all going to get wasted so that we can wake up in the morning, do a bunch of breath work, and the hangover is going to be gone. And we're going to go raging in the mountains with no hangovers and do some cold plunges and some art extremes. And that was a part of our official curriculum for the Wim Hof method instructorship. So
we did it for the science.
That was one of my favorite nights ever. Just in it, my night got fuzzy. Like, my vision got fuzzy. Like, people were just meh. And I think it was that way for a lot. Some people were like, I'm not drinking, and I'm like, fine, I'm not talking to you.
Yeah. I remember at some point David Whitley,
the strong man,
David Whitley, right?
Yep.
I remember at some point I came over to him and I was just silly. And then he kind of just did the whole, because everything David Whitley does is like with the wisdom of like this old oak, right? And so he just kind of looked at me and he's like, yeah, you're fucked up. And there was this, it was this whole thing where like he just disarmed me in just a few words. But there's times, obviously the reason it's one of these things where, I think a lot of times we overthink all this and we have to feel like we have to justify things. You know, and obviously it's not something that everybody is cut out for, you know, if you struggle with alcoholism or things like that. But you know, I think it's like that 80-20 rule of just you have to allow yourself to, you know, to be free. And so yeah, so basically on the last convergence, we missed it. So the last convergence, Chris and I, we had to fly out the next morning. And so we didn't have our celebrations.
Gotta celebrate.
And you talk about regrets, man. Talk about some regrets. So we're not going to have those regrets this year. And so we will broadcast this. We will have a Pulmonaught collective. We'll have to figure out, you know, we'll say, Frank, please, we need a bartender. But
He'll show up. Don't worry.
Well,
So-
I think that ties into what I've learned and what I've let go.
yeah, let's get into that.
And what I've let go, because I got one of the most amazing experiences of the year is an old client of mine flew me out to a retreat they were doing, and Kitaro Waga was leading it.
Yeah, Katara,
And
good guy.
he's amazing. His style is so vastly different than mine. Very calm, very collected. And I like the way I do things, but I let go of, you know, because I was comfortable in where I'm at with as an instructor. And what was amazing about these clients specifically is they taught me that, you know, as an instructor with what we do, having people do cold plunges or kind of go places with their breath work, we've got to let go of some stuff. We have to move into discomfort because that's where growth happens. And he asked me, he said, when was the last time you were uncomfortable as an instructor? I went, oh shit. He goes, I think if this is out of your comfort zone, I think you should get out of your comfort zone as an instructor. So when was the last time we were out of our comfort zone? Like as instructors, and I let go of the thought that, you know, I always should feel comfortable in front of people. In fact, I've been searching for clients where I'm not like uncomfortable because I'm unsafe, but maybe it's a new style of entrepreneur I haven't worked with, in a new industry, in a new place, a new venue, a new retreat center. Find those uncomfortable places, even for my business to grow. And I let go of, you know, having that happy compliance and comfortable place to be in. And it was neat to kind of let go of thinking, oh, I should be comfortable as an instructor because that's where I'm going to be the most powerful. Who cares? Let's see where this goes. What are we going to do today? And it was much more fun. That group in and of itself, and for those of you who know, you'll know, they wanted to do power breathing and they're like, 16 rounds, let's go. And
Yeah.
I was like, I don't want to do that. And he goes, right, uncomfortable. Let's go.
Right.
16 rounds.
Okay,
So-
touche.
Okay, let's go. And the fun thing I learned is it is amazing to go into those places.
Yeah.
Like to seek, and not to endlessly seek discomfort. Yes, it's nice to celebrate, but I also learned I don't know shit. I don't know anything. The more I keep learning, I'm like, wow, I don't know anything. And to find that different context and perspectives from other people's approach, because if you approach it with, I know nothing, you guys can fill my bowl. So it was letting go of that. I've been doing this for a while. I know what I'm talking about, too. Back to the student's mind. I don't know anything. Come on. Where's your context? Where's your perspective? Why are you looking at it like that? And just asking those curious questions and listening to the answer. And I have never had so much fun teaching breath work, like trying to find that uncomfortable style. I mean, it's still breath work, so we all know what we're talking about, but pushing it into places that I'm not necessarily wanting to take it. That was a lot of fun. And
Nice.
that's what happened to me in the past couple of years, is just learning to push my instruction into the discomfort zone for myself, to let it learn, let it grow. And then to not necessarily dismiss an idea I don't like. Okay, so why don't I like that? What can I learn from this? And my now on the Sunday, Monday breathwork I don't have a plan. So who wants to do what? And if someone says, hey, let's do this breathwork that we just discovered, man, let's dive in. Like, it's a lot of fun.
It's awesome,
So,
man.
Yeah. Next up.
That is
Gotta be
awesome.
one of the three of you.
Yeah, yeah. So we're that's the math. That's just how that's how it is.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Okay, so I'll take one. So one thing that I've learned, one thing that I've decided to let go of. One thing I've learned is that I have to find. I have to continue to find things that I'm interested in. And this directly relates to breath work, but it's something where so much of when you're in this field is focused on, man, look at all these things that it'll do, right? Look at all these things you can apply it to. Look at all this stuff, right? And I think we've been in it for a long time, and so for the longest time I've just been so excited every morning. Oh my gosh, I can't believe it's real. It's amazing, right? And then eventually I'm like, God, this is all I ever think about. What I got to get a life, and there's things I'm interested in, but I think a lot of times I've let those down, like sort of put those down and just sort of just really hyper focus. I've written 2 books on breath work, and actually 3 because one's a children's books now. So I've really just kind of gone in, right? And I've sort of forgotten. I really like making music, so man, I'm going to make some more music. Rob knows what I'm talking about. Chris knows what I'm talking about. I also like video games.
Engineer. I'm the studio engineer. You guys
Well,
will play
we
the
all
music.
we
I'll
all
record
like
it
this.
for you.
Yeah. Well, maybe we'll talk because I have a secondary goal, right? So I've learned that I have to have other things that I'm interested in, or else I just I start to sort of the hyperfixation sort of gets old, and you start to sort of like get burned out a little bit. So not that I get burned out with helping. I love coaching. I love leading breath work and teaching it. But it's like, well, man. So I've decided I'm going to write the world's greatest rock album. I've decided, it's going to happen. Maybe I'll have to come out and you can be my engineer, Chuck.
Can you annotate it with breath work for each
See,
song?
that's there it is, creeping back in, right? Actually, that's the craziest thing because there's so much. I'm like, well, man, here's a pretty cool song. I wonder if I can do breath work to it. I'm like, okay, I got to sort of have a little bit of separation, right? So anyway, so there's that, and then and the one thing I've decided to let go of sort of recently is the feeling like I have to do cold training. I wrote a book on it. I like writing books, but I wrote a book on it, but for the longest time that was just sort of part of my identity, and so I was just like, well, I do the cold training thing. I'm a cold training guy, and then and I was like, you know what, I really just don't want to. I just don't want to right now. And so I was like, you know what, I'm going to allow myself the freedom to just kind of put it down for a little bit and see how that feels and see if I want to come back to it. And I still guide people through it. I still recommend it. It's just like, man, I just don't feel like it right now. And so the only cold training I do right now is after I get done with I'll do some cardio. So every single morning I do cardio, half hour, and then I will go into the shower and I'll just turn the shower head on, right? So I'll turn it to warm, but I'll let that splash of cold water come on me, and I really enjoy that, So I mean that's heresy for a lot of or at least it would have been for a lot of the breathwork and biohacking world. So that's one thing I've let go of is the feeling like I'm making myself do it because I feel like I ought to be doing it.
Oh, that's fair. I was going to comment that I love how you're not doing cold training by doing cold training every day. I only do it when I do cardio, and I do cardio every day.
I do cardio every day, and then I do my cold training, which is Not
But
cold
but it's
training.
not like it's not the ice bath. You feel like doing it. It lights you up. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
It actually is refreshing because I'm hot, right? I'm all hot and sweaty. So it's just like a really cool, nice cold splash. And I'm like, yeah. And then, if I want to leave it on cold, I can. But it's just like my big thing right now is not doing things because I feel like I'm supposed to or because I feel like I ought to be doing it. It's just literally, what is it that I feel like doing? And if I don't feel if I want to and I don't want to take a cold shower today, or if I don't want to do this or that, I'm just not going to do it.
I,
And
I
it's
would like to
working
step
really
in
well.
with a coach's caveat. So if you're out there and you're just starting a practice and you're hearing Jesse say this,
Yeah, yeah,
I would like to remind you that Jesse's not coming from a place of I'm not going to do my workout.
yeah.
He's disciplined, he's exercising, he is doing breath work and a version of cold that he wants to do. But there's a difference between I don't feel like doing this today, I'm listening to my body, and I don't feel like exercising today, which is not
Yeah.
what he's saying.
Right.
So
Thank you, Chuck. Because I'm like, yeah, just do whatever I want
just
to do.
fucking do what you want. I wake up and I'm like, 6-pack of beer is what I feel like today.
I feel like it.
That's not what he's saying.
That's not what I'm saying.
It could be though, if that's how you want to interpret it. I mean,
Hey, the beer I had for breakfast wasn't bad, so I had one more for dessert.
yeah.
So no, but anyway, so that I guess the point is learn is going back to that story where the monks, because if you're actually, the real power is in wanting to do what is right for you, right? And it's not like I'm just throwing my life away. It's just
Listening
like,
to what's good for you.
say what?
Listening to what is good for you.
Yes.
Language of breath.
My man.
5 tenets.
My man. Listening to yourself, learning to tap into that intuition, that inner voice. Anyway, that's it for me. 2 left.
I'll go. I got this.
All right.
We'll save the Rob for last because he's got so much stuff.
Rob's got a lot to share.
That's happened to him this last year.
Yeah, it's been a big year.
So man, yeah, it's been a crazy couple of years. And one of the biggest things that I personally am letting go of is doing things by myself, being like lone wolf status and trying to do everything myself, which makes everything like really hard to do. Also kind of going a little bit into Jesse's aspect of it. Like I used to have a list of like 25 really healthy wellness things that I would do every freaking morning. And by the time I got to the end of that list, I kind of felt like crap.
Yeah.
I'm like, why do I have all these amazing structures? Every single thing that I'm doing is right. I'm eating right. I'm doing my gratitudes and my meditation and my exercise and my literally everything, but it was structured so intensely that there was no room to listen to what do I need this morning? What does my body need? What does my unconscious need? What do I need? Maybe it's some activating breath work. Maybe it's a cold plunge. Maybe it's just lay down in bed for another 35, 40 minutes and sleep more because I have not been getting the best rest in the world because I've been doing all these things that are supposed to be healthy for me. And just kind of getting back to the basics. Am I breathing well? Am I breathing functionally? Am I sleeping well? Am I eating well? Am I taking breaks throughout the day to just stop for a minute and allow myself to catch up with myself? This all kind of ties back into, I now have been dating for 2.5 months, 2 months and 16 days.
Bravo.
Not counting.
Congratulations,
Not counting.
brother.
It's really easy. We started on the 1st of February. Actually, it's hard. It's so hard to remember that. And
what are we talking about? Huh?
Just yeah. just the aspect of being able to do things together. We actually worked together. We went into SpaceX 3 weeks ago and did a yoga and breathwork thing for SpaceX.
Nice.
And we're working on this thing called Synergy together, which is movement, functional movement, and guided breathing, guided meditation, guided breathwork. It is so much easier to do this stuff with another person
Yeah.
who has your back, who you can trust and like go into doing things together with. Like, I cannot tell you, although you guys all probably know a lot of this aspect of it, how much easier it is to go in and more fun it is to go in with somebody that you can work together with on these things. And like when your nervous system is activated, their nervous system can deactivate and balance you. When theirs is activated, you can balance into them. And it just becomes this beautiful thing. And that's opened up into my like work life as well. And I'm here at this office at Woodlawn Hall in Green Lake near Seattle. My business partner, James Tan, is right next door in the office next to me. My girlfriend comes in and works with us also. So we're all able to actually like take things off each other's plates, talk about stuff, create new things, do new stuff. And so letting go of that lone wolf, have to do everything by myself thing, and just getting into like, hey Jesse, hey Rob, hey Chuck, you guys, like let's collaborate again, let's like do this. Like I'm so stoked and happy that we're back on here again,
Yeah.
because we can do so much more stuff together,
Yeah.
and community building and sharing what we know with everyone. Like it was an amazing break. I suffered a lot, I learned a lot from a lot of mistakes. I'm back here and like in this beautiful connected state with many more people, and looking forward to just building community with you guys. Come out to Seattle and join Yoga in the Park thing. I'll tell you more about it later, but like there's some epic stuff going on, and it feels really good to be back with you all again, and with everybody else who's watching this thing too. So
Yeah, we want to thank everybody for tuning in. If you have any questions or comments you'd like to share, I got a lot of what's up, good evenings, and what a cool panel. You know, it's true. It's true. You know, thank you, Paul.
Oh,
good to see you, Rye.
One last thing,
Right, Brandon. Yeah.
and I think Rob, you're doing this also. But one last thing is that seeing all of the out of balance stuff over the last few years that's happening in the breathwork world, with people that are pushing nervous systems
now we got to talk about this.
We're pushing nervous systems too far and doing these cathartic releases that don't actually integrate afterwards. Come to the reconvergence, because we don't do that. We do the integration stuff. And
The integration is that's the thing. That is
everybody just like got up and was like, "What's happening in the breathwork world right now?" Pull the whistle.
20 years of trauma release in one session.
Yeah.
Fuck
It's
you,
not
dude.
good for you. Like, we all just got so activated about this.
Yeah. Yeah,
But
you want to see a bunch of nice people get triggered? Chris, that was well done. Like, all of us now upright, like, let's get this shit down.
Yeah.
Like, don't, like, there's so much of this stuff going out there where people are not being careful. They're like, oh, I found this new, really advanced, awesome tool. Let's share it with everyone. But like the yogi before wasn't going to give it to anybody until they had studied with them for 25 years to learn how to use it with their nervous systems. And we're like, hey, Joe, come on in. You're like 84 years old and you can breathe. Let's try this out.
Well, you know, this is something that, you know, we've seen it as we've worked, and you know when you work with enough people, you'll eventually be like in a situation. It's like, man, I'd really like to stop what's happening right now, but it's not my event, or and then there's also so much on social media. There's a program out there that I don't know if I should say the name of the program, but in the ad it says eliminate anxiety and depression in less than 1 hour.
For like 30 seconds.
But that is such a outside of the scope of what a breath worker should claim. That it's so egregious. But it's a paid ad on Instagram. I get it all the time. And it's constantly out. You know, and the thing is, you know, I think, and for the longest time I've made the claim, I really do believe that the vast majority of people out there, even the people who are causing these really dangerous things and very, very poorly executed things, I think most people are sort of good faith. I think they actually are, you know, it's that matter of, you know, enough to be dangerous, and then it's like, yeah, you're dangerous, you know, you know. I do also think there's a lot. I mean, there's a lot of money in it, and not too long ago, some of you guys know I do occasionally. I'll have affiliate deals with. I'm a, sort of an influencer sometimes. I just like getting free product, but let me just put that out there. I love like they're like, hey, would you do a review of our product? I'm like, how much free product you got? It's like
We can
so like
co-test with Jesse.
yeah, seriously. What we ought to do is all get together. I love this kava.
Oh,
Kava is just
Kava's great.
I enjoy it. Anyway, so but I recently was contacted by this group, and they didn't tell me they were one of those multi-level marketing places, and they say, hey, let's meet, let's just talk. And I was like, okay, great. And they were wanting to talk about like peptides or something like that. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. I've heard about peptides, and I'm happy to talk to you guys. And the only thing they talked about was how much money I would make selling peptides. And I'm like, well, yeah, but what peptides are in what are your products? Like, let me tell you, it works so well, and you're going to make so much money. It was all about, and I was like, are you a pyramid scheme? Is this a multi? But you know what? I don't know how many commercials I will see now on social media, and it's just focusing on you're going to make so much money being a breath worker. And I'm like, okay, if that's what they lead with, it is a pyramid scheme. It is like it's because they don't actually have the goods, right? But what you'll see so often is the focus on, hey, we know that when you hyperventilate, you create all these happy chemicals, and you have these you can have really great experiences. But it's so often just harder and faster, and then like let's rub you down, like I'm gonna do the work on you because it's me that's doing the thing. It's not you. It's like I'm gonna do it for you. So I don't know. There's my soapbox. I'll get off of it for a minute.
That was one of my favorite things Bart Pronk ever taught me. Bart Pronk is one of the oldest of old school Wim Hof method instructors. Yeah. When someone is having a moment, they're having that release, and you touch them, you can violently bring them out of it. Yeah. And unless they have let you know beforehand, you should not be touching them.
Right.
And unless someone's like, hey, I need a little assistance, and we preload that. I know you guys do too. Hey, if you need help, raise your hand. We'll be there for you. Raise your hand. But if you don't raise your hand, we are not touching you, because it can violently pull someone out of that release. Like that's, I see people, they're like, oh, look, he's letting go. Whack. Like, well, now he's got something else to let go.
Well, not to mention what I always tell people.
More trauma.
I always tell people, what are you doing in that moment, right? What you are doing right there is you're letting that person know, hey, it was my touch, it was me that did that for you, right? Now they're dependent on, okay, I guess I can't do this by myself. I guess this isn't my own processing. I need Jesse there, right? And I will say, in the world of breath work, we all have to get over our egos, because it is a position where you are in authority over a large group of people. And we all know people abuse that a lot. And anytime people put their trust in you and they become vulnerable with you, it can be a real head trip, and this is where, that's why it's really important as a facilitator of breathwork. You have to get over yourself and say, this is not about me. It's about the individuals that are there, and them doing the work for themselves. I'm not a magic man, I'm not this, and then you have been healed, that kind of thing.
When not every certification is made equally is one very important thing to look at. And like Jesse's trainings are amazing. The language of breath, fantastic, really well done thing, like highly recommend. And going into this, and this is what I was going to bring up with Rob, and just segueing over to there. I'm taking a 3-year training. I don't even know what it costs. It's a lot, because they do it in sections. But it's a 3-year training called Somatic Experiencing, and it's with a traumatologist who's a PhD, who's been studying this stuff since the 60s, wrote multiple books, and it's all about how do you go and help a person to resource themselves so that they can gently titrate slowly traumatic experiences through the natural response network that needs to happen in order to actually experience the fight response or the flight response or whatever that was stuck there in their system at that time that that traumatic experience happened. And that is what the majority of breathwork or people that are out there doing this have no idea anything about, and that's why they're dangerous. And it's not that they mean to be necessarily, it's just that there is not that type of, not everybody has that education, and not every therapist is a breath worker, and not every breath worker is a therapist. So it's, how do we meet these worlds and learn what we need to learn in order to actually not harm people and to help them to integrate and process and heal and do that work themselves so that they are resourced and they are confident in themselves and their own ability to do these things, not us.
Yeah.
So anyways, Rob.
Yeah, no, what I really appreciate is you're doing the SE training, which is fantastic. Somatic experiencing, if you haven't looked it up, it's a pretty incredible system. And I think just really tying, like kind of weaving the knot on what's being sort of brought to the surface in this conversation is that if you go out and you're like, I'm going to do breath work, and you just focus on that, like you can be effective, but there's so many important aspects of holding containers of human beings, of all of the different ways that trauma shows up in people's physical bodies, in their reaction to different practices that are literally opening up places in them that they've never seen. And just being able to understand, like, you don't have to be a trauma therapist in order to be a really effective breathwork facilitator, but you should probably understand the mechanisms of trauma, how it shows up, where it lives in the body, and the ways to most effectively work with someone who's in an active trauma response.
Yeah.
Similarly, there's lots of tools out there. I've been studying authentic relating and IFS and things like that as well, that really help me to become more attuned as a human being, help me play emotional aikido in my relationships, to be able to redirect and move energy in a way that is able to have more effective healing and movement in emotional content. But what that also does is it increases my capacity to track. It's like in a lot of my workshops, I teach people how to get into their peripheral vision, how to connect to their senses and their physical capacity to track better. And then at the same time, one of the things that I had significant growth available to me is tracking where people are in terms of their emotional experience, being able to attune myself to people who may not be overtly telling me. In a group of, maybe I have 30 people in my workshop or in my class, people aren't overtly just telling me where they're at, but being able to be attuned, to be able to see where people are and what they need in order to actually be a more responsive and responsible leader in any situation, and to be able to read and gauge from subtle body language when people are even getting activated ever so slightly. Like, is their heart rate going up, not just because they're doing cardio, but in an emotional sense? Are they clenching their jaws? Is there little indicators that it might make sense to bring things into a more parasympathetic space? Or are people starting to get distracted, starting to get antsy, and needing more engagement, which is a sign to actually ramp things up and bring more excitement into the field? And being able to enhance my capacity to improvisationally respond to a group by being able to be more attuned to what they're doing and realizing that, I've been teaching for 20 years. I've been teaching since well before I had any business leading groups of people through anything. I was just like 20 years old. I was like, well, this is what I do. All right,
Yeah.
go. And glad that glad that it didn't go too wrong in different situations. Oh, it almost did sometimes when I was really young. I've got some crazy stories, but anyway, um,
Reconvergence, you can hear them all.
I've learned a lot in 20 years, but these are some of the tools that I've been really grateful for. And being able to really just look at my whole life, look at any patterns of interaction that I have with other people that are not to my liking, and realizing like there's my intention over here and there's my impact over here. My intention can be the best thing ever. But if my impact is not aligned to it, then there's some capacity to learn, to recalibrate, and to basically, expand my toolkit. So SE, like, so happy to hear Chris doing that. Training is a really powerful tool. Authentic relating is a really, really powerful tool. And yeah, things like that are just really beautiful.
I got to
So
hear.
okay,
Sorry.
so you what have okay, you've learned a lot this year. We know you've learned a lot this year, and I'm sure there's a lot of things you've given up this year. And of course, for those who are not familiar with all of the flooding, maybe give just maybe an update
Hmm.
on Mandala Springs. It's just kind of, I guess, a brief update just to kind of let people know what you've gone through this year.
Well,
Yeah, where is Mandala Springs, Rob? For those who
where
don't
is
know,
Mandala Springs, you may
that might
ask?
be helpful. Little context.
So down in the southern Appalachian Mountains, tucked into the ancient eldritch forest full of the greatest amount of biodiversity that exists in the subtropical world, the highest concentration of waterfalls in North America, the most ancient mountains in the world. You have Mandala Springs, about 30 minutes or so north of Asheville, with this big, beautiful, usually fairly peaceful, but we'll get into that. Creek running through the center of the property, and national forest on three sides, and a lot of magic. 67 acres, certified organic forest farm, and chocolate factory, and lots of other businesses that are growing right now here from this community hub. Mandala Springs has become a pretty significant pillar in this entire area. And I'm really grateful for that. And has also been one of my, if not my greatest teacher. Um, if you really want to know where your blind spots and your personal areas for growth exist, start a community and invite a bunch of people to come out. And I'm grateful because I spent years in that process, and it feels like it's all really coming into a place of fruition. But as many of you might know, back in September, there was this little like rainstorm that happened.
Yeah.
It was just a
It
little
was so
trickle
little
that
they
came
gave it a
down.
name, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It may or may not have just been a 30,000 year geologic scale event, which puts it a little further out of field from once in a lifetime. It's like
Yeah.
once in a, like once in a glacial period sort of event. But yeah, Hurricane Helene, and it had a very narrow band of impact. If you actually look at the maps and see like the area that got maximally impacted, it just happened to be like Asheville, and Mandala Springs was right in the thick of it. We were right in ground zero
Mm.
for the maximum amount of the like natural impact and destruction. There are other areas that had more human impact because they were more densely populated. But, you know, we were flooded on the night before. We were already at like 100-year flood state before the hurricane even showed up. There was a lot of wild things going. Things were going crazy like already. So there was almost like that preemption in the air of it. But then on Friday, I literally watched this sweet little creek that at the convergence, and
Oh yeah.
full plunge in, we hang out in, we play in. It's like fun and friendly, turn into a raging monstrosity of nature's primal fury, like screaming and thundering down the valley. I watched it literally. My neighbor, there were 3 houses above me. I watched it pick up my neighbor's house,
Oh,
turn it 90 degrees. One of the walls fell off. You could see all of the clothes color coordinated in the closet before the creek just crushed it and then gone in seconds. Like that's how powerful it was. It moved boulders that were the size of like probably like the volume of 2 school buses side by side, like thousands and thousands and thousands of tons. It moved entire boulders like that, many feet down the stream. And every single place where, even places where there never was a creek, there suddenly was a creek where the road was between us and the post office in town in Barnardsville, just the local little stretch. There were 20 places where the road disappeared and a little canyon or a very large canyon came in. So that day on Friday, it's like we have no power, there's no cell phone, there's no connection to the outside world. We are many, many, many layers deep in this isolation. And yeah, this is one of those moments where it's like, well, why do we do all this breath work? And why do we do all of
there
this
it is.
nervous system
It is.
regulation work and learning to be able to control our fight and flight and, be able to stay in a calm and collected and relaxed place? Well, we're doing this so that if a moment like this happens for you,
When it
uh,
happens, right?
you know, in the current
And
world,
it doesn't have to be a stream taking your neighbor's house.
Yeah,
Let's hope it's not that extreme. That was
yeah.
not meant to be the pun
that
it
is
was.
true. It
Extreme.
allows a car to cut you off in traffic and you'd be like, oh,
Yeah.
okay. Which is actually you're right, Chuck McGee. That is the most important aspect because it's the little itty bitty ways on a daily basis that our sympathetic nervous system would get activated. And instead, we have the choice, the physiological imperative to be able to choose a parasympathetic response. That's where, death by 1,000 cuts becomes like a truly magical and wonderful life by 1,000 little moments of blessing. And
Mhm.
that's really the key. But if you happen to find yourself in a situation like this, um, suddenly it's like there's no panic, you
Yeah.
know, there's no freaking out. And what there is recognizing that a lot of other nervous systems around you don't have
Mm.
time under tension that we have in understanding our own internal world, nervous system, and our capacity to be grounded in extreme situations. So it gave me the greatest gift in leadership that I could give during that time was all of the people that were in my care instead being able to be a source of regulation for
That
them.
right there is so important. And I think this is something where, we often forget just how important okay, yeah, I'm staying calm. What good am I doing in the world? No. We're a species that we look to others to know how we should feel, right? And if you can be that calm, that pillar of calm, you're gonna help people in ways that you may not even realize at the time.
And one of the things that actually became very, very clear to me over time is that there's a real value to that but we also need to be cognizant of the fact that if you're in that level of emergency, which means 24 hours a day, every day for a very long time, was like going up into every single cove, checking on every single neighbor, helping people dig themselves out, like going, like doing the trip across every one of those canyons to go get supplies, like bringing an empty backpack and going and filling it up with like 90 pounds worth of food, having two 60-pound things of diesel, and then hauling it back over each of those canyons. CrossFit as it can get, but like, bringing all the names of everyone. It's like, who's on insulin? Who needs this medication? Like, who's trapped where? Like, making sure to get everyone, including myself, off of the missing persons lists because there were multiple. Um, and all the while, like, so doing this incredible physical dig out, having no power and no connection out to the outside world for most of the time. And then, figuring out, well, what can we do? We've got strong people. I've got a tractor. There's things I can do. We have spring water, amazing amounts of epic spring water. Luckily, was not impacted. And then, start getting water to the people who don't have springs because water became a huge issue. And by the time we had ATV trails, like these crazy ATV trails connecting all of the dots, I was getting 100 like milk jug gallons and filling them up and taking them out. By the time we had roads, we started delivering water to distribution sites from Mandala Springs around like the area. At the peak, we were delivering over 7,000 gallons of water a day to over 420 distribution sites in the entire area. And that started the day that the first day that the bulldozers punched a road back in that a vehicle could travel over. And a lot of that has to do with the efforts of my fiance, Eleanor,
Yes.
as well.
Congratulations.
Thank you. She is an organizational powerhouse. And from the very beginning, she was in Baltimore. She was on one of the last planes to leave Asheville before the airport shut down. And she had to do a training. She leads a lot of trauma work trainings and things. And she was speaking at a university up there. And so she wasn't here. And so from the moment that the storm hit, she was already organizing supply chains and making all kinds of things
Nice.
happen and setting it up so that by the time roads happened, we were able to deliver water. And, it's like, here we are 6 months later, and we realized about a month in, well, what's the long-term need? Water is going to solve itself eventually, right? Um, Food and supply chain stuff, having, people, it's like winter was coming. People are literally 125,000 homes are gone. Like, at least 4 or 5 times as many rendered at least temporarily unlivable, but temporary in the sense that winter's still happening.
Yeah,
you
right.
know People are still getting their heating systems and their air conditioners and their water systems like turned back on in the homes that they could still live in. So we realized relief housing was a big important one, so we started building a relief village, and we like terraced an entire side of the property and started building little tiny home relief homes for people. And we just got that to a point. It's not even actually at full completion, but we have 3 different homes filled with displaced people currently on site. And yeah, it's something, there's been so much to learn as a leader, as a facilitator. One of the most important is, even one of the things to keep in mind, this is one of the most important things that became abundantly clear, is that if you're going through an experience like this, it's like, I don't care. Maybe if you're the Buddha or some sort of that level, you may not be actually taking on any trauma, but one of the things that actually goes with the capacity to be the regulated nervous system in the room is that there is a responsibility to that because a lot of people don't have those tools. You hold it and you hold it. And oftentimes you continue to hold it,
Yeah.
especially in this situation, until suddenly you realize, actually, even though I can continue to create this physical surface, parasympathetic, relaxed, calm, I'm in control, I'm helping that with other people, that same skill can actually simultaneously allow us to subtly, slowly bury more and more of the trauma within us until we either have the cognizance and understanding that we're going to need to create the kind of scenario where we actually allow it to dissipate from our systems, or it's going to dissipate itself eventually, one way or another. And
Symptomatically.
yeah, so learning a lot about that process. But the quick update is that we've really turned that experience into something beautiful. It brought the whole community together. I've never seen a community come together in a more fundamentally epic way. Everyone wants to think that the community they live in is like resilient and adaptable and like strong and capable, but fortunately most of our communities are completely untested in that
Yeah.
way. Our community got the biggest test you can imagine, and I've never been more proud to live in a place with the people that I live with. It brought the old school redneck community and the hippie community and the primitive skills community. It brought all the communities together. We realized that at the end of the day, we have more in common than we could ever imagine. Here we are 6 months later. Things are getting cleaned up rapidly. Every day it's looking more and more beautiful out there. And Mandala Springs itself, where the canopy of the trees used to cover the stream and it was all kind of like shaded and nice. Now there's a big old bowl. Looks a little more like Colorado.
I can't wait to see this.
Dude,
I'm really
yeah.
curious about this.
And there's these big log jams and there's some stuff going on. I mean, I don't let me not it's not like 6 months later and rainbows and unicorns appeared
Christine.
and everything is glorious. No, I mean, it is actually in context of how absolutely and utterly fucked it was. In context, it's almost miraculous, actually, how put together everything is becoming, how much the community has come together. But you look at that creek and you're like, well, that definitely doesn't look the same. That
Yeah.
definitely is not what it used to be. But guess what? There's a lot more sunshine. There's a lot more
Mm.
places to sunbathe. All those rocks are shiny and clean. There's no
There's
vegetation on them.
we got a
And it's
question.
actually quite beautiful.
We got a
So
question from Paul Stone King. He's wanting to know, with your community, is there still that sense of connection now that all those times have passed?
that's a brilliant question. Some of us that are thinking more on this level, like kind of the overarching level of the greater community, and really thinking in that perspective, have been coming together actually and talking and as like kind of leadership councils on how we can continue to develop more of those bonds in meaningful ways that don't feel contrived
Yeah.
as things become less urgent, as things start to settle down. um, how do we actually cultivate the magic of the interconnectivity of the community in a way, because it's so easy to get kind of drawn back into the bubbles of the community. There's all the communities within a community that can exist, and it's easy to get just kind of drawn back into the bubble. So how do we actually actively make the choice to bring people into our bubble, create bubbles that feel safe to a wider number of people with different viewpoints and different value systems and different strategies? And how do we continue to cultivate the relationships that really help bring us all together? Because I've never experienced anything quite on the scale. I mean, very few people have
Yeah.
experienced thing quite on the scale of the way people all came together in this situation. but I would be lying if I said that there wasn't a natural attrition back into the bubbles happening. Um, but I do there is a difference, when people interact with each other, when people in their bubbles are interacting with each other, there is a fundamentally different level of human connectivity that is present in everything.
When you've shared those times, you've got that common bond now that crosses those bubbles probably. So now, Chuck, did you need to log off, and so
I
we
do.
I've got
I
to get
do.
running as well.
well, guys,
I want to sit and talk, but my bubble is calling. And I must leave this bubble and go back to that one. So I think we should do this one again.
I agree. This is long overdue, and I think we've got so many conversations that we have yet to really even touch on. So I want to thank everybody who has been posting. We got a lot of hearts. We got a lot of 100%. A lot of great interaction, lot of great comments here. Thanks for everybody who's watched over this feed. And we're going to have to put another one on the calendar because I feel like we're just getting started.
Yeah.
Dude, let's do themes
You know what? I like it. I like
or
it.
like something like that.
Just as a reminder, everybody, the reconvergence is coming up June 27th to the 30th. If you want to check in with Chris, he's doing yoga in the park, and you can check in. What's your website, Chris?
You can check out Urbana on Eventbrite, and then also Essential Breathworks or Chris Worden at the Linktree. So it's like Linktree/Chris Worden, and all those events are going to be up there.
Beautiful. And Chuck, do you now have a new website?
I'm working on it.
Okay.
I'm working on it.
Okay. Is it still Ice Vikings?
It's still Ice Viking Breathworks. Still doing Sunday, Monday breathwork for free. Anyone can attend. But I'm going to give Rob a shameless plug right now because he didn't do it. I bet Mandala Springs could still use people's help and support.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So
Rob, how can we help?
How can we help you, Rob?
Well, something that is actually really becoming very apparent. Relief Village actually ended up costing a lot more than we expected, and we're sort of footing the bill on a lot of that right now, gratefully, happily. But we do have a GoFundMe campaign out there. You can go to mandalasprings.com and look at our relief efforts. There are links to everything that we're doing. And we can use support. Definitely, the financial is actually the biggest one right now because we've basically been like, all right, I trust the process. I'm just going to keep swiping the credit card and paying for materials and making stuff happen and trust that this is in service of a bigger thing. So that's a big one. And then people are welcome to come out here. There's so much, not just at Mandala Springs, but there's still a bunch of neighbors who need a lot of help. There's a lot of building projects going on right now to get people back up and running. There's a lot of chainsaw work to be done. There's a lot of stream restoration to be done. If you don't know how to do any of these things, there's a ton of people out here who want to actually train people in really epic hard skills who come bright-eyed and bushy-tailed like, I want to help. I've got two hands. Show me what I can do. So thank you. Yes, that is definitely available. And I've had
also the best chocolate in the world. Go to Mandala.
Yes.
I mean,
definitely.
it is like every time I go out there, I'm like, okay, take all the cash I have, and then I will trade you that for chocolate.
Is Mandala Springs selling chocolate right now?
So Mandala Naturals is up and running, finally back to about 100%. But Mandala Springs and Mandala Naturals both had a pretty gigantic blow. Mandala Springs, it's like we didn't have a season, It's like right before the fall season when the leaves change, and there was like none of that. And then Mandala Naturals, we were shut down for months, and a lot of the businesses that we sold to locally don't exist anymore. They got wiped away. So it's
Does buying chocolate help you?
It does tremendously.
Oh, so I can buy chocolate and help you.
I mean,
This
it's
is a
like
shameless plug,
everyone
is what I'm
wins.
trying to do. I can
Everyone.
buy
Delicious,
chocolate
too.
and help you. So that's a win for me.
Yeah, right.
As a diabetic, I'm probably hitting this too hard because I just take a little corner and give the
I have
rest to my
sugar-free.
family. I know I buy that. It's delicious.
Hey,
But I
Rob,
do have to bounce. So I love you guys. I gotta
Love you,
go.
Chuck.
love you, man. Good to
Bye.
see
Have a
you.
great night.
Rob, how long can people get on the reconvergence at the early price?
Ooh, I'm pretty sure.
Because it's
Jesse,
pre-sale.
what do we
So
got?
because we
Maybe.
are nerds,
Right.
we've made it so that May 4th is the deadline. So the price to come to the convergence is $9.99. This includes all your meals. This includes a place to sleep. And you can upgrade if you would like, I believe, and you'll need to we'll
We
contact
have
Rob.
fancy bell tents that
Yeah.
we can set up. We've got beds and make them nice. So we've got really fun bell tents because it's like this beautiful place to camp next to the water and the
Oh,
forest.
So
you will sleep
beautiful.
like you've never slept before. But if you get your ticket before May 4th, it's $7.99. So it's a $200 discount for being an early bird. Again, that covers all your food, that covers the entire weekend, all the different experiences you're going to have. It is absolutely epic. I'll come ready to do sing-alongs. Come ready to do primal movement. I will say that Yona is just really just an incredible facilitator of Sweat Lodge. Just absolutely amazing.
Last time we
And
played handpan in the Sweat Lodge, in the pitch black.
like
It was
it
incredible.
really is an amazing experience. And you're going to meet people you never knew you were supposed to be best friends with. So that is that's June 27th to 30th. And you can go to jessecoomer.com and the events, and it'll go to Mandala Springs, or it's mandalasprings.com. Yeah, mandalasprings.com. You can see it there too, and you get your tickets. Definitely don't wait on this one. This is one that we know we have limited number of spots for it, so it is something that we're talking about it now because we know that it will eventually fill up. So definitely reach out, and I gotta say it's going to be amazing. I cannot wait. So the three of us will be there.
25
sorry.
people maximum, right?
25 people maximum.
right.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's not a gigantic retreat.
Right, right. You'll get to know people really well. You will have, you know, actually a lot of programming, but a lot of downtime to just really just be in nature. So if you're the kind of person who's just looking to really get an amazing reset, have an amazing time, have a blast. We are challenging ourselves, and the goal here, we actually do have a purpose, letting go of something we need to let go of so that something can be born in its place, something better. And you get to decide what that is. So quite literally, part of the convergence is a funeral. We start at the funeral pyre, letting go of whatever it is we need to let go of, ceremonially letting it go. And so it's been my great honor to be co-facilitator with Rob. This is just absolutely genius in all the things that he does. I'll be leading breath work, and the thing is, we do this with you. Chris is going to be there. He's going to be doing handpan. He's going to we may have him doing a few other things too. He's a fixture at the convergence.
Wouldn't miss it.
But we're going through this too. This is we let go of things. We do the same process. We go through the same process with you. It really is an amazing event. And yes, go to jessecoomer.com or mandalasprings.com and just check in the events.
Exactly.
All right, my friends, this has been long overdue, and I'm just so happy to see these faces together. Reach out. We will be putting another one of these on the calendar very soon. So thanks for everybody who's watched, and thanks for all the comments and questions, all the hearts and the likes. We will see you next time.
See everybody.
We'll go and let's see.
We're still on. It was a really great ending up until now, and then
like got my hand.
this is like the bonus part.